Ready when you are.
I'm ready. We'll call the meeting to order. Do we have any staff or trustee additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, item 3 on the agenda,
Yes, sir.
which was placed on the agenda in anticipation that certain things would be received and therefore we could possibly address them at this special meeting. Those items were not received, therefore there will be no action taken on item 3.
Okay.
And of course, because this is a special meeting, there are no additions.
All right. Move on to adoption of our agenda.
So move.
Second.
A motion is second to adopt the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And is adopted. Moving on to our public comments. Wanted to check, I didn't get anything in here, want to verify that. Okay. I've got my regulars, I always want to check. All right, we'll move on from our public comments. And we'll start with our unfinished business. Mr. Kennan, discussion and possible action for the City of Lake City zoning determination.
Yeah, spoke with Mr. Martin, and assuming everything keeps progressing well with Meridian, they would anticipate taking up the issue of the Meridian agreement at their, I think, September 3rd meeting.
Okay.
That fits kind of in our timeline of us being able to, if need be, discuss it at our monthly meeting at September. And then that would give some guidance to Meridian to their board meeting, I think scheduled for September 30th.
Okay.
And then obviously their board action would then be right for our consideration in our September meeting. So that's kind of the way we formulated the timeline. And then that's it for that.
Okay.
Unless Dale's got something.
Yeah, there's a part B to this.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chairman. Just to sort of pick up from our conversation at our last meeting. What we are trying to do is we are trying to put in Meridian's hands the best package that we can for their September 30th Board of Directors meeting. I think the intent was that if at all possible, we would very much like for Meridian to make a decision up or down regarding the Lakeshore Hospital proposal at that meeting. So toward that end, there's really just two things that need to be discussed. One, Todd just mentioned, and that dealt with the city and how the city deals with the issue on the zoning. And the second is basically we need to decide, you need to decide as trustees, whether or not you think the Meridian proposal before they act should be incentivized. Now, the reason that you might want to consider that is, number one, we have to remember that mental health is a strategic priority identified as an unmet need in Columbia County. And that's not something that we did the research on. That comes from the Well Florida Council. So the state of Florida, through the Well Florida Council, has said, look, mental health is a huge issue in Columbia County and is something that we need to address. The second thing is based on the decisions that you've made to date. Number one, we have already transferred property to Florida Gateway College. We have already made the decision to build a primary care center, and you've already made the decision to hire Palms Medical Group to operate that on behalf of the authority. Those two entities and Meridian basically can create a synergy. Otherwise, each and every one of those can benefit from the other being on the Lakeshore Hospital campus. I think Florida Gateway has already had conversations with Meridian about ways that they can help each other through the educational process. I know that Palms has already had conversations with Meridian and vice versa. So there would be a synergy that would be created on the campus if Meridian successfully locates there. And then the third thing is the economic impact. We talk a lot about the Meridian, but we don't talk about the economic impact. Just to remind everyone, there were 98 new jobs to be created. Those 98 new jobs, when they're fully implemented, will carry a payroll of almost $5 million annually. That's just for the 98 jobs. And that does not include match and benefits, just salaries. So there's 98 new jobs to be created. The total staffing there, if I remember, will be 150 something. So all of that is there. So the question is if you look at it more like an economic development project than you do about a tenant for that building, does that carry any weight with you, and does that make you want to offer any incentive? You are all aware that Meridian had a concern about the facility and any new additional issues that may have occurred since this process started, because obviously the roofs were the number one issue. Nothing has really been done to replace the roofs, so there has been some continual damage. Now, we believe, your staff believes, that most all of that's cosmetic. Certainly it can be corrected and fixed. It's not as if it did significant damages to operational systems, but definitely cosmetic. So this may be a way that we can entice Meridian to move forward, to feel more comfortable with what their obligations would be. And at the same time, we as a authority can request some expedition of this process, because right now the agreement provides for a host of reviews. It provides for some certain inspection periods, things of that nature. And I know that it's your intent to try and alleviate that to the greatest extent possible. Now, in all fairness to Lauren, Lauren received a copy of what you have in your agenda packet, but she's obviously not had a chance to talk to her board. So she would need the opportunity to do that. And hopefully before her board meeting on the 30th, if there's anything that she would like to make us aware of that maybe was not considered, she could do that as early as your next meeting in September, because the goal here is by the 30th, one way or the other, to bring some form of finalization to this process. I personally don't know what else I can do to make this any easier, better, or quicker. We just got to kind of bring it to a vote on their end. And once that is done, we'll at least know where we stand. So towards that end, any questions you may have that I can answer, I'll be glad to do that. But we need to pretty much, if you can, decide at this meeting what is going to be your final best offer to Meridian, where Lauren can start to vet that, get it on her agenda for September 30th, and we can get a final answer, and that would hopefully be the goal, the objective.
Any public comments? Mr. Luke.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's nice to see you tonight. This is the first thing in maybe 2 years I've heard about giving anybody an incentive. I don't understand where this incentive came from. The authority manager just said that he thinks that's the board, that's what they want. I don't know if the authority manager looked into his crystal ball to decide that or poll the board. But incentives were spoken about a long time ago about this. There was clearly no incentives offered. There was no incentives offered for Meridian. There was no incentives offered for the college. College president's right there. You could ask him. All incentives got taken off the table. Seems to me this is the way everything's done in Columbia County. But he went to the same schools. Is that the authority manager just now decided that you folks think that there should be an incentive. Should be an incentive, it should not be an incentive. This thing has been dragging on. This is clearly one of the worst boards in Florida. Been dragging on for 4 years. Now, $4 million spent to keep a hospital vacant. And nobody can make a decision. Every meeting you guys come to is Mr. Beal comes up with an excuse. Mr. Bullock comes up with no excuses. Mr. Kennedy comes up with an excuse. And let's be clear about one thing is Mr. Kennedy's in touch with the attorney every month. They do their little rundown. Certainly seems that way, and he charges the taxpayers for that. You are doing the public an injustice by giving anybody an incentive at this stage of the game. You should all know, and now I'm going to have to write a story on this, do a local Columbia County Observer, that Meridian reputation was so bad, not Warren's, but Meridian's reputation was so bad that they changed the name from Meridian Behavioral to Meridian Healthcare. Well, all you folks took a tour of the Meridian's campus. They don't offer healthcare. They offer behavioral healthcare. But they took the word behavioral out of their new redo because their reputation was so bad that they didn't want to be called Meridian Behavioral anymore. No incentives were spoken about at this authority board since I've been coming here for 4 years. All those have been on the table. And I'd like to know, maybe you could ask the authority manager how he came up with this thing that all you guys are in favor of incentive. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Loper. Dale, like answer?
May I respond, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
Okay, first of all, I don't think that's what I said. What I am saying is this Board of Trustees asked me to meet with Meridian because they had issues about some ongoing additional damage. I do know this board wants to bring this to a close as quickly as possible. So I am asking them tonight, do they want to use an incentive as a way to cure both of their problems? I think it's a way to make Meridian feel comfortable with where they're at and the position they're at with the condition of the building. And it's a way to bring this to closure. If they don't decide that, then that's not something that Lauren can carry back to her board. But if they do, she can carry it back to her board and put that in front of them. So there's no polling, there's none of that. I simply did what I was asked to do. And this is one solution to both of our problems. Is it the best solution? We're going to have a discussion and find out. If there's another solution, they can certainly ask. But this is the best solution to reach those goals that I'm aware of.
Any further public comment before we start our discussion? Want to double check? Okay,
Sure.
thoughts from the board, Mr. Bennett?
I just wanted to also respond to the last comment. I don't know of any excuses that I've made for why this has taken so long. Really, the main reason for it is outside entities injecting themselves into our business, and that's held it up for quite a while. So I don't, there's no excuse. I'm ready for it to be done. I've
Me too.
been ready for it to be done.
Me too.
That's all.
I agree. Um. Hey, Mr. Kennedy, any?
Well, I'll listen to your comments first.
Oh, wow. I'm not, I don't know. I understand that. Is there something that has materially changed from? I know we originally had uh. The waterproofing report, is what I'm gonna call it. We had that. One. That's something, I think I spoke with you briefly about it, Dale, at one point. That I called in and said there's a material change, there's quite a bit of damage up on the tower, is that what they're saying?
Yes,
Did we complete that assessment and we found that to be true, that?
we did not hire an outside consultant like they had previously done to come in and document it, but through the actual work orders and my discussions with Dwayne and anybody that wanted to go and view it visually, which is exactly what Meridian did with their team, is pretty obvious. But I'm not saying it wasn't expected either. I mean, because again, we know what conditions the roofs were in 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Nothing substantial has been done to change or replace those, so one would expect that there has been some additional damage.
Yeah.
I do think from the perspective of the authority, the type of damage is important. And we do believe, and I say we, it would be Dwayne and I, that most of it is cosmetic. And a lot of the systems that were damaged are systems that are either going to be removed completely for the new intended use, or they were going to have to be replaced to bring them up to code regardless. So, that has to be weighed into it, I would think.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I'll throw my 2 cents in real quick also. I don't love the idea of it, but at the same time, it's been going on for multiple years now. And I would like to, once again, like I did at the last meeting, remind everybody that we had a lease buyout from Community Health Systems whenever they left. We've been utilizing those monies to maintain this building to the best of our ability to Band-Aid it over the years. And with the end goal of this building being put to use, we're gonna spend $2.5–3 million to tear it down after spending the amount of money we've spent each month the past 4 years to maintain it. To me, that is a waste of time, money, resources, all of the above. If we can come up with something to get this across the finish line, and it's something that will save us money by not raising the building and will bring an economic impact of 98 new jobs and approximately $5 million in payroll annually, I think that's pretty effective for the taxpayers of Columbia County.
Okay.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you're the only person I know that's gonna.
I'm waiting to hear from Mr. Chauncey.
I'm kind of curious myself. Has Meridian indicated, I mean, Meridian's here tonight, have they indicated that there's some sort of a requirement, like they're saying, oh, the drywall damaged, we ain't taking it?
No, but Lauren obviously has to go back and Lauren can speak for himself, but she has to go back and give a report to her board on the 30th. And we know that it's been a concern from her board, which is why they wrote the letter to begin with.
Gotcha.
And in those meetings where you asked me to meet with Meridian and their staff, I mean, they've documented what they have seen and they have found, and they've openly discussed it. And there's no doubt I mean, you can visually go see these things.
Yeah.
So the question is would they would they go ahead with the proposed agreement as is? Don't know, maybe they would. We have no way of knowing. But if we want to also accomplish the goals that you've set, which is basically you want this over with as close to the end of the fiscal year as you can, then I don't think there's any other way to do it. I think it solves both entities' issues, or it's one solution to both issues.
Time. You have thoughts, Ms. Johnson?
Oh, yeah.
Let's hear them.
My principals tell me if I give you a gift, you don't turn around and tell me I need the money to maintain it.
Mhm.
You all know that. You know where I'm coming from. I understand all the discussion you're having. And as far as taking as long as it has, from my perspective, every time we have thought that it was a go, they've come up with something different that they wanted. I mean, think about the meetings we've been to. We say, oh, we've got this together. Oh, but we need this. Next meeting, oh, we've got this together. Oh, but we need this. How much are we going to give them? Just my thoughts. You asked for them.
I appreciate it. Mr. Bullard, you got any thoughts?
I do, $5 million in a community times 7, that turns over 7 times, that's $35 million. Economic impact for the city of Lake City and Columbia County. That's pretty strong.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
And 98 new jobs. I think the county commission or any other board, if they could incentivize that, they would, to bring jobs and money in. That's all I'm saying. They do it all the time. And so if it takes that to get it done, that's what I think we should do. That's my opinion.
Appreciate it, sir. I'm coming to you next, Mr. Kenny.
Yeah. I appreciate all the comments and, I too, as I'm sure, Ms. Cone and Dr. Barrett out there will remember on their presentations originally, I was adamantly opposed to giving taxpayers funds to any project that wanted that hospital, Ms. Chauncey. I agreed with you 100% from day one on that. And, but I do disagree with your thoughts about Meridian coming and throwing obstacles to us. It hasn't been Meridian. It has been other outside entities. If you remember, in fact, I feel like that we may want to apply for the Olympics coming next year because we've been great at jumping hurdles. The first one we had to jump was the reverter clause on the parking lot, which took months and months, and we resolved that. And then 10 months ago, we received a letter in October of 24 from the city stating that the hospital would not be in compliant with the zoning regulations set. And we have been fighting that for 10 months. Mr. Kennan just gave the report on the chapter 164 hearing, and that still has not been resolved. I'm about thinking that we probably should have let the court resolve it. Would have been a lot quicker. But it's been right at 6 months coming up. But I agree with you, Mr. Bullard. Incentives are used every day for economic development. And we all had an incentive to come here tonight. But I would like to, if Ms. Cone doesn't mind, me asking her a couple questions. And that is, I know you inherited this back in December of this year. Last year, January 1st, you took over. And had we not had the hurdle thrown at us from the city, Meridian would have already been in possession of this building. And it has now been 10 months and a lot of damage done on that building. But none of us have been privileged to your meetings with your board members. But if I was a board member, I would have questions, and that is, how much is it going to take to renovate these 4 stories during the next 4 to 5 years to get them operational? And I found a document today that was dated back in 2023 that the figure was 10 million that was used by Mr. Savoy at that time. Is that figure still in play with your board and your thinking, or is it way out of line? Yes, ma'am. Please. Or is it way out of line? And do you think that your board would be in agreement with that? In addition to, I noticed in Mr. Williams' letter, I don't know if you have, you haven't had the opportunity to read it.
Yes, nice.
Oh, you have? Okay. And also, I was just curious how your board would feel about doing away with the feasibility study that's in the agreement that was drafted by Mr. Kennan and Mr. Evans. Would they be in agreement of doing that? Which means that if this incentive was given, then through your attorney and through our attorney, Mr. Kennan, there'd have to be arrangements made as to at what stage monies would be given for this project. But if you can just give me a little feedback as to what's the thinking of your board?
Sure, that's a lot of questions.
I'm sorry, and I apologize.
So I can't speak for my board on some of the things that are just presented today, as they have not had a chance to review or discuss or discuss. The last discussion we had, the $10 million commitment is still viable. Now, what did change was some of the new developments, as we've discussed, the more recent water damage, things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Obviously, I want to preface it with nobody anticipated this going on for 3 years when we started these discussions, right? I don't think, I don't want to presume, but I don't think anyone here anticipated that we would be still discussing or negotiating over the property for over 3 years.
I was a young man back then.
Weren't we all? So I think, I appreciate the situation. In those 3 years, of course, things have changed. Some of those may be anticipated, some may not have. And that's where our board was coming from with the original request for an inspection. Having, continuously updated them on the situation, the developments, the complications, challenges from the city, all of those things. Most recently was the condition of the building. And as Mr. Williams indicated, we have been in and seen some of those changes. Presenting those to the board, that is when they said, we're concerned about the commitment. Is that commitment still viable? Does that get us what we need it to with these new developments? That is where we asked for an inspection. That's thinking there. In regards to the waiving of any due diligence, I'll be honest, I think that's a concern. I don't think that would be possible with funding requirements, financing, things of that nature. I just don't know that's possible. Having only just reviewed that, I don't have an answer to that yet. I think that requires a follow-up there on what will be necessary in order to evaluate, I think, the whole entire situation. What would we need to do for certain components of financing? And evaluate it further.
Thank you.
Hope that answers all.
It did. It
Okay.
did.
Thanks. Are there any other questions?
I was gonna check. Any questions?
So when you said financing for the remodel,
Right,
okay.
right.
Good, thank you, Ms.
Under and I can understand, I guess, if I was on that board too, I would be very much concerned regarding the feasibility period, but yeah, I guess this would be a question that I would have of Mr. Kennett. Let's say that, the Meridian Board said that, yes, the incentive that the authority is offering, is sufficient, but we will not waive, the, incentive portion of the purchase agreement. From my, not being a lawyer by all means, and but my reading of it, if, we did provide the incentive, then it would have to be structured where X number of dollars could be released based on different performances by Meridian. Because during that 60-day period, they could still walk away from this agreement. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. If the feasibility period stays in there, they have the absolute right to terminate on their end the agreement. So the incentive, I think, would have to be
Structure.
lack of a better way, contingent on there not being anything major coming out of the feasibility study. Number two, the other issue might be, if there's a transition of the money based on certain performances, that would eliminate maybe the possibility of they receive the money 2 years down the road, determine even with the money, it's not sufficiently economically feasible to continue with the project, and then say, okay, we're not using it as a mental health facility anymore, and therefore the reverter clause kicks in and we get the building back. So I would think that prudent wise, it'd have to be some negotiations between us and Meridian on a schedule
Yes,
of
sir.
release of those monies based on some performance incentives on Meridian's part to show that if we've given you X number of dollars, we used it for these purposes and we're still a go. And then, another release and we're still a go at the end of that. But that would be my recommendation, is there'd be some sort of structure to the release of any monies tied to getting the building ready, operational, et cetera. So that, like say 2 years from now, we spent X number of dollars and then we get the building back under the reverter clause saying that, it wasn't 10, it's now 15, we can't do 15. And so here's your building back.
That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman. Additional thoughts?
Here, I'd make a motion that we ask staff to present this as written to Meridian for their board to consider.
I have a question.
Well, there is not a second yet. I was just wondering if you could throw September 30th date in there, which is their board meeting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought
Yeah.
it was in here. Yes. This, what we were discussing, I was making a motion that we present the sorry.
Incentive
The
package.
incentive
The
package
incentive package is outlined in
as
paragraph 1
outlined.
and 2 of Mr. Williams' memo.
That's correct.
I have a question.
Ms. Chance.
Seeing as this is a special meeting, can we vote on anything? We can?
But it has to be an
Has to
agenda
be on the
item.
agenda.
Okay.
That's why we thought that's, yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. We'll make sure I'm clarifying, stating that correctly. Randy,
I was just gonna say, after the motion in the second, can we have some discussion on that
yeah,
before the vote? Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
let's, if you would like to discuss before we vote.
Yes, I would. I just was wondering if, Mr. Kennan, is that gonna put you in a bind, with working with Mr. Evans, the board attorney for Meridian, to readapt the agreement for purchase?
Well, the way it's written in the motion, is worded that they would be having to waive the 60-day inspection period. And would have to go ahead and agree to sign it, on or before October 31 in as is position or condition.
Right.
I should say.
And from what we heard earlier from Ms. Cone, that's probably not going to happen, but.
Yeah.
And we may get a counter from that.
Yes.
Because obviously they know, a counter might include, we want the feasibility study, but we understand, that the release of any agreed upon funds would be incremental. You know, they can consider that at their board meeting, come back to us with that.
But they don't meet but quarterly.
Well, I know,
They
like you
could have a
say,
special meeting though.
the city is looking at us, if we're making progress tonight, you know, they're comfortable at their September 3rd meeting. I think, you know, if we keep rolling the hamster wheel without some definitive offer, then they're gonna probably put it off until things look more solidified, but they are aware of.
I mean, the only thing that
time
would change at that point would be the 60-day and the signing on October 31st. I would hope that the city, there's really no reason, we want resolution of the chapter 164 and we've got the agreement. The only thing that could change in that agreement is the 60-day feasibility part. So I think we need to maybe try to
And I don't think,
politely ask them.
I don't think they have any concern about the feasibility study issue. They were more concerned with the types of programs that are going in. And if they bring it up September 3rd, it may be contingent on, you know, Meridian being the signatory of the agreement. You know, and not Meridian back out and then we go find ABC companies. I don't think they'd be comfortable with that, but
I don't think ABC company could sign the agreement with it stating that it's an agreement between us and Meridian.
Right.
So I'm
saying if Meridian said no and we said fine, then
yeah,
then do we put it back out? Do we raise it? You know, I don't think any of their approval would be,
yeah, I would just,
would contemplate us starting over is probably the best way to say
sure.
it.
I don't know if we can ask the city somehow, maybe through you and their attorney, to please take it up on their next meeting, whenever they can have it published on the agenda, because they don't need to wait on us with our agreement. If the agreement as written is good with them or any changes, we need to know that, because otherwise then it's going to be October, then it's going to be November, and then we're still in the same situation. And now it's 2027 and we're still talking about it, and I'm off this board and somebody else is talking. Because either that or we have to let the court decide if they're not gonna come back with some sort of a resolution. We have to get resolution somehow.
And I think that, you know, that if we're making progress tonight, which we've made some progress, that they would put it on, hopefully on their September 3rd meeting. I can check with Mr. Martin. But again, they probably come back with, you know, our approval of the agreement with the modifications they requested, and Meridian has agreed to a lot of them. That it would be, you know, our approval is contingent on their no modifications of those programs. And I can't speak for the city, but I don't think they would care if there's a 60-day feasibility study or if it was inked, you know, 10 days after their meeting or 5 days after Meridian's September 30th meeting. They too want to get some resolution to the same issues we have.
Todd, September 3rd is Wednesday. Is the city, I know the first, their normal meeting night is,
I think they moved it because of Labor Day.
Yeah.
I mean,
but they normally move to the following day, which is Tuesday, but they're actually gonna meet on Wednesday, the
Clay
3rd.
again confirmed that they have a meeting September 3rd. I'm hoping he wasn't looking at a wrong calendar, but that date is what he and I have been throwing around as trying to fit into a timeline
Okay,
to accommodate, you know. Initially, it was Meridian was gonna meet, I think, on the 9th. They moved theirs back to the 30th. So we were initially trying to get the city to give us some guidance on their end before the meeting of Meridian on the 9th. Obviously, it's been moved to the 30th, but that still puts us in that same time frame. when I say timeframe, our goal of having this done by October 31.
Mr. Chair, if I may ask, Ms. Cone, if your board comes back and says, yeah, we like it, but we can't do remove the 60-day inspection, could your board can you have special meetings so we don't have to wait 3 months? Cause I think I don't think, I know for a fact, that's one of my concerns. I do not want to go to the new year with this.
And mine too.
We have another meeting scheduled in November. So the second week of November. So there's already that scheduled, and we can have special meetings of our executive committee, so we have done that in the past. If there is something to review or make a decision about, then we will do that.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to withdraw my second for further discussion on this issue.
Withdrawn. You're concerned about the 60-day inspection period like mine?
No, but yeah, it is, but I'd like, I'm putting Mr. Kennan and Mr. Williams in a spot here and Ms. Cone. Is there, and I agree with you, Mr. Beal, what can we do to expedite a decision? We're making one tonight, but I would like to have a decision because we have taken so much time with this. I agree with Ms. Chauncey. Is there anything in this proposal that Mr. Williams has given us on this incentive package that Meridian could come back with yes or no?
Well, I think if they come back with no, but then
Yeah.
that would put us at our September meeting to say, all right, we agree with the no, but, or we don't agree with the no, but. Any contingencies they put in.
And
Mr. Williams is good.
yeah, Mr. Williams.
Well, I don't know what Lauren does internally to get her answer. I don't know whether she meets with the executive committee and gets information, whether she goes to her whole board, but I just want to remind you that we have 2 meetings already in September. We have the 8th and we have the 22nd, which is the second budget hearing. So depending on what Lauren's process is, if she could get those answers, we could add to the special meeting on the 22nd her to come and respond. And then, of course, you could give her your answer before she met on the 30th.
No. To help me a little bit, I'm trying to read in between the lines, but can you be more specific?
Wanting to know what their response is
Yes.
going to be
Right.
about the 60 days in
Yes, sir.
particular.
Right,
She won't know about the whole package until the 30th, but you're specifically wanting to know about the 60 days.
right.
I don't know if Lauren has to get that answer from her entire board or whether she, we can't call and poll, but
No.
she can.
Right.
I don't know how that works internally for her, but if she can get that answer
Great.
and we can get it on one of the 2 agendas, either the 8th or the 22nd,
Gotcha.
then she can relay that to you. You can do whatever it is you may have to do, and she will have that answer by the time the 30th rolls around.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second Mr. Beal's motion.
Do you have a response to that?
Yeah.
I will make every effort to get an answer on this issue prior to your second meeting in September. The 8th might be a little soon, but I'll try. I will make every effort with our board and our attorney to get the answer to that specific question prior to that meeting. I think that's anyway.
Great, thank you.
Remind me what your motion is again, because I've heard it, but I don't think I copied it.
To present to Meridian an incentive package, for lack of a better way to say it, that consists of paragraph 1 on page one of Mr. Williams' August 20th memo.
Yes, sir.
And number 2, paragraph 2, the rest of that letter is some rationale as to some pros and cons of the package. So the motion, as I understand it, is the offer to Meridian on the table tonight would be you would agree to 1 and you would agree to 2.
And number 2 would include B.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So there's a motion and a second in front of the board. To
Roll call
present,
vote, please, Mr. Chairman.
yes, we will. To present, this, I call it the incentive package, to Meridian. Detailed in paragraph 1 and in paragraph 2. We'll do a roll call vote, Ms. Chanson.
Yes.
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 Well, motion passes unanimous.
Okay. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
alarm procedurally. We have a regular meeting on the 8th. I'm gonna put you on the agenda. I realize that's a short window, but just in case you're able to come and respond. I'm also going to advertise that for our special budget, second budget hearing on the 22nd. So you'll be on both agendas. I just want to explain why. So that way we can accommodate it either way. Okay?
Thank you.
Bear with me, I pulled it in my agenda. Sorry. That was a little more intense than I'm used to. On to our next one, discussion of possible action, disposition of the 12 lots declared surplus. Mr. Williams, I understand it, the college is here tonight to talk about this.
Yes,
This
again,
property.
Mr. Chairman, from our last meeting,
Yes, sir.
you had requested that we contact, and then Mr. Barrett was actually here, Dr. Barrett. But you requested that he come back and present as to whether or not the college has an interest in the 12 lots. And if they do, what might that interest be? What might those plans be? And I think Dr. Barrett is prepared to do that. In addition to that, I see
Yes.
David Kraus is here. I think David wants to address you. Now, that is not on the agenda. So if David asks that you take a specific action, obviously you can't do that. And also, I want to make sure that you're aware that this afternoon, we received a letter from the city of Lake City regarding these 12 lots. You've been given a copy of it. But likewise, this is not something you can take an action on because we are in a special meeting. I'm not trying to be the attorney, but the only thing you can take an action on tonight is what's on the agenda. And that can be to approve, to disapprove, to table, to postpone, whatever it is you may want to do. But I do want to make you aware of the county and the city's interest also.
Okay.
And not relevant to the 11 lots. We had a flurry of activity with the city. They had, it'll be on the September meeting. They had requested continued interest in the 11 acres if it was given to them as a donation. So Mr. Martin understood that that was not on the agenda tonight for our special meeting, but I just wanted to make you aware of that. I got something right before I was leaving confirming that, so I haven't had a chance to get it to staff.
Public comments.
Everyone in the county has contributed to the funds that the authority has. I'm not anti-college, but they serve more than just the people or students in Columbia County, outlying counties. So I think the city or the county should have first dibs on the properties. And I was stepped out, so I couldn't comment on the prior section. But if Meridian wants some kind of incentive and Dick Powell's not here to answer, could we give them the money and somewhere in their budget, they would pay us back, say they wanted $2 million, they pay us back over X amount of time period. We're giving Palms Medical lots of money to operate a clinic, and there was never an underserved study. Why you guys gave that amount of money does not make sense. You could, but you're supposed to be good stewards of the finances. So I had to get my anti-palms in, but
I understand.
you could give an incentive and see if that money could be rolled back into their budget. To pay the authority back, because they're not gonna be paying any taxes. Whereas the previous vendor that rented the building paid property taxes, so if they could give something back, maybe something could be worked out if you think outside the box. Thank you.
Mr. Loker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is some meeting, I gotta tell you. It's like you guys have never heard of parliamentary procedure. Apparently, Mr. Kennedy has. Once he walked through his motion, then the discussion should stop. Because it was taken off the table. Let the records reflect that Ms. Jansen just gave a little nod. She knows. Mr. Kennedy doesn't care about that. And I understand. Mr. Williams just said the manager that you got this letter this afternoon from the city. It's dated August 20th.
I saw that.
Yeah. Welcome to Lake City. But I also don't understand is the authority would pay, I'm reading from this August 20th memo, which apparently was in this backup material, which you do not see. That we give them the sum of 2 million plus. So you didn't have to rip down the building, right? That's what that's for. You understand that, Mr. Beal? That's what that's for. But the city will take the building for free. They've also already said they would take it for free. Not asking for extra money. I never heard them ask for an extra dime. They're not asking for $2 million, so you don't have to knock it down. The simple fact is that Lake City's got 15% of the population, but collects 20% of the taxes, which keeps this place afloat. That's pretty much the rule of thumb that Dale would remember from years back. That was the thing that was always discussed. So why would you give Meridian an extra $2 million of taxpayer money when you could get the building away for free and have economic development downtown? Now, I looked at the legislation. You guys, somebody needs to sue you guys. Maybe it needs to be me. You guys are running an illegal authority. You don't have a legally constituted board. That's pretty clear. Now, with what's going on, you clearly don't have a legally constituted board. And Mr. Kennedy clearly has to know that. He's always up there studiously taking notes, looking down at his papers. You guys never went to the Attorney General for an opinion. You still can do that. But this board is not legal. And I would suggest you read the enabling legislation. Maybe Dale could tell me. Excuse me, Mr. Williams could tell me. Where it says that the Lakeshore Hospital Authority is in the economic development business, Mr. Bullard. What the county does with economic development has absolutely nothing to do with what this authority does. Nowhere in the legislation does it say that you have anything to do with economic development and job creation. It says you're supposed to provide care for the indigent and all the other stuff that takes. So before you give away $2 million more of taxpayer money, if you just give me 1 second here, is the interest that you get on the money that you got when this was CHS paid off the lease. That's taxpayer money. That's not monopoly money. That's money that could go to the citizens of this county to do a lot of things. So when you keep bringing up that money, like it suddenly fell from heaven, it didn't. That money belongs to the taxpayers. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would And just one more thing, is that if you're gonna give an incentive to Meridian, then you need to give an incentive to the college. You need to give an incentive to, maybe go back and look at all those people that you said you weren't gonna give an incentive to. Because now they are clearly being, the word I can't think of against, that they would clearly have a claim because you didn't review their stuff because you wouldn't give them an incentive. Something to think about. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Quick. Mr. Crossan.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all that you guys do. You know, it's a tough decision. I just wanted to re-express the county's interest in the vacant properties. We believe, long-term, the county is running out of space. Some places would be nice to have all of our functions in one location. And it would also give us the opportunity to extend the health department, because as you know, the health department is a relatively old building and has very limited space. So we would envision this really being a complex for the community, for the public, help expand the health department, which could complement the rest of the facilities and the other people you have on campus. So we are still very much interested in.
Thank you, Mr. Crampson. I think we've exhausted our public comments, and I believe Dr. Barrett, you have a
Presentation, yeah,
Small
I hope I'm
presentation.
not gonna be in the dark in a minute, but I need just to express you know, Ms. Chansey had mentioned a gift. The college is thankful for their gift from this authority. People have to think that you are in charge of your gifts. So I understand that, and I don't come begging for you before this committee and this council at all. But I also want to say one thing that I've read quickly that letter from the city of Lake City. This is beyond, I want a very positive meeting today. That the taxpayers and their taxing authority, thank God the college is not a taxing authority. We have 40,000 students that have graduated in 78 years here, all taxpayers, and we contribute. We have a balanced budget. We haven't had a tuition increase in 12 years. And we have a managed budget on this campus. And we have a plan for the building. We don't see other people have a plan for the building that you gifted to us. And that's my presentation tonight, is I'm going to make a presentation. It's a very positive presentation. Gave me 2 weeks to pull this off. My staff spent about 5 hours on this project. I want to also clarify that my board of trustees has not approved this plan and has not seen this plan. Those are the 2 weeks. So this is what I would call a introductory to this facility in these 12 parcels. I think each of you have a copy of this in your file. I'll go into that in a minute. If anybody in the public wants to see that, I do have some copies for you. If anybody wants to grab one of these. I just wanted to clarify that. The actual discussion of these 12 parcels, I think the easiest way to break it down before I go into it is Workforce Training Center would be for parcels 1 through 5 that are mentioned on your map, which would include a dental hygienist program, a dental assistant program, pharmacy tech program, and a CNA program. Lots 10 through 11 would be incubator space, would be entrepreneurial startups, and offices for potential offices, as I mentioned to Mr. Kraus before, and so forth. Career source, economic development, and perhaps TDC as potential issues that they're having with space. Be a great one-stop in the downtown area. And then the third one would be the storefront incubator experiential learning center, and I'll go over that in the slide with you. That would be 9 through 12, and then building lots 7 and 8 would function as parking for these facilities. And we'll go, and we call this the Nexus project. The Nexus project, we said that when I thought about it, I was like, I don't use hair products, you know, Nexus. So, but if you really think about what Nexus means, is building something anew and so forth. And to answer Mr. Bullock's question, and when we go to this, I could give you actual FTE numbers of students that would be in downtown and FTEs for about the number of people working there. So I'll just show this. It's a little bit in the dark. So we'll be real quick with that. That's why I wanted to talk to you about this, because I've been told I have to do this in the dark.
Can you see it?
Oh, my bright head may get there. Brandon, why don't you go up there?
You can reflect.
Was working.
Light switches on there.
There we go. So as I mentioned, we call this the Nexus Project. Really to help with many different issues, education in the city of Lake City, to improve the downtown location of Lake City. And it's really a multi-use process of overall. And I don't think it would. We talk about the workforce training center that would be located on Hernando Avenue and Washington Street, and the back portions of those parcels off Marion Street. That would include, it's a much different looking building. It's the most inexpensive building out of this project. And that would be funded, I'm not gonna talk about funding, but that would be funded in a different way than projects 2 and 3. And that really is a workforce training center that would bring in 16 students in the dental hygienist program. That's the max you can bring in. 24 in the dental assistant program, 24 in the CNA program, and 24 in the pharmacy tech per year. This part of the incubator space is on the backside of Hernando Avenue, which is where we foresee it being soft trades, soft skills, would not be industrial types of things where people would come in potentially with IT startups, would be startups for business entrepreneurs where they would share space, share conference rooms, and so forth. And we have share space similar to many rural downtowns that are run by colleges to improve and revitalize downtowns. This is the front of where Marion Street is, and you can see those storefronts. We're not married to these storefronts at all. I just threw this together. We threw this together. You can see there's a hair salon. One of the reasons why we chose a hair salon, not a lot of hair salons, and we train in cosmetology in our campus, and that would be a capstone integrated training for our students and for the community. Be open to the public Monday through Saturday. The TDC, what a wonderful entryway to a brand new revitalized downtown where the Tourism Development Center could act, and then behind that could be actually some front offices. The main Nexus office would be an entryway into the back, into the incubators. And then a bank, which all downtowns need, small town bank. These do not have to be big banks. These are really startup things that could change from college, private, public to both public. And then at the end would be a farm to table. What a wonderful opportunity the city of Lake City does. The farmers markets once a month and so forth. But what a potential would be to have entrepreneurial students in there and have farmers bring in their products and sell on a day-to-day basis. The corner lot that's on the corner of Marion Street, we believe, we've heard before that there's need for pharmacy locally, but it would also be an opportunity for an urgent care. And our students would act as both externships and so forth with both external provider for that. Once again, no one's been contacted. This is just a real 30,000 foot potential to improve the city of Lake City. And I would remind everybody, the city of Lake City, as they subsidize certain communities with $1 million in storefronts, this would not be any taxpayer dollars. This would be run by a college, would be self-sustained. And then that's the overall, just put a shot of downtown, and over here would be the actual lots. And as you can see, that would be the downtown campus. So positive, feel good. And the college feels that we could pull this off. My team and staff feel we could pull this off. We're not going to get into a political battle with anybody with this. We think of this as a potential gift and a wonderful asset that you people have that could give to this campus that would improve the lives of people from downtown Lake City and improve the Columbia County area. So I'm sorry I didn't get enough done in those 2 weeks, but we pulled it off pretty quickly. I would have to say. And that is it. Should I entertain any questions or anything?
Oh, man.
Is the hair salon, would they do beards as well, or?
Yeah, keep those bald heads.
Okay.
That'll be effective.
I would like to say it's very impressive, your vision. I'm not sure what we can do now, but I like your vision.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Barrett, and I know this is conceptual and hasn't been approved. It's not like these are 100% what the buildings will look like. But
Oh, I didn't leave out some second and third stories.
that was
Okay,
gonna
that's.
be my question.
That would be actually a couple different things, depending on the funding, I would like to see that as multi-use faculty housing. On the second and third floors, first priority faculty housing, which we do have a shortage of faculty affordable housing. And number two would be student housing on that, depending on the funding. If the funding I was looking at for this, that I think we could obtain for this, would not allow for the housing. So that's one of the reasons why it would not allow for a housing complex, but that would be ideal in the second and third floors. But additional office space and so forth would be up there on that. But ideally, our vision was to have the second and third floors to be apartments for people, because of once again, multifaceted. Bringing some vitality, bringing some jobs, bringing some people downtown, and also trying to build a downtown that's just not a Monday through Friday situation, that we actually, when you go to those farmers markets, which I do go to, there's not a lot open in downtown on a Saturday. So try to keep those kinds of things. Does that answer your question, Mr. B? I just thought of that when you.
So I was obviously thinking of offices or classrooms, but it could
Could be.
potentially be housing as
Yeah,
well.
it could be, yes. And total cost we figure for both projects would be about $21 million. Estimated for those projects. But an asset of many of these grants that we talk about need those assets of private or public leveraging. It makes it much more attractive.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Skinny.
Dr. Barrett, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for your vision in this area and what you have done for Florida Gateway College, the years you've been here. I like this concept. I think it's great, super. But you came before us 3 years ago, I think it was, and with the intent of wanting the hospital itself. And I appreciate you being here tonight because you've heard we're still talking about the hospital. And I hate to put you on the spot, but I will. If our deal with Meridian happens to go south by the wayside, would the college still be interested in the hospital with or without an incentive package?
I will say this, that it would be a different campus than I proposed tonight. Totally different campus if we did that. To answer your question, we would entertain that. We wouldn't be interested in doing both. We couldn't take that up.
So you have given that some consideration?
Yes, we did consider that, and actually our team did consider that, and it will be much more of a residential kind of a campus back there, not including the hospital, knocking it down. But I mean, part of the issue is probably the real estate itself. If we could adapt it, we would keep the building. If not, that is a concern, the $2.5 million, because we actually have priced out the demolition of that building. And it all comes down to the landfill of what's in that building, how much the cost will be.
And that brings back into my memory of when you appeared before us, when you were asking for the money. And I believe I asked you as far as that money, what would you do with it? And you were just as truthful as you can be and said you would take the money, tear the building down, and then use the rest to build a facility that would suit your needs.
And that's true. And also, but if you remember that we had a bunch of private and public partners, if we were able to solve that. We had the whole experimental drug place, multi-specialty was going to take a floor. We had the hospital there to talk, the HCA hospital, talk about a small emergency care unit. So we thought we could pull that off. So I mean, on top of that, but if we didn't have those partners, we would have done what you just said.
And you don't think that would, of course, help explain to me, I think I understand the process from serving on the college foundation as well as the college, but if this gift was given to, this property was given to the college, how would it?
Great, it's a great question. We'll be transparency, people say transparency. So when you gifted us the women's building, I call it the Randolph building. Because of Dr. Randolph and I was very close. So the Randolph building to the college, it did not go directly to the college, and it still has not gone directly to the college. It has gone to the foundation, which is our DSO for the college, that they can accept properties on behalf of the college. And they are, so they accepted that in the amount, and the asset that came appraised value was 1.225 million. That I think today we orchestrated the DE transfer this morning. So that became on their books as an asset, the foundation. Now what will happen is in March, when the legislature meets, we have to fill out paperwork, and the legislature will then approve what they call back of the bill and give us the proper, they will grant that we have the authority then, and then we'll receive it from the foundation. So it is a process. So if you did give us those 12, if you donated those 12 lots to us, that's the same process we would have to go through, and then in following years, we would have to do through the college. And I will tell you that the college does require the foundation through environmental ones, as we had to go through on the Randolph building and so forth. So we do a pretty thorough process to do it, but as you can see, we got it done pretty quickly ahead of some other people, so. That's not a shot, David.
Okay,
And actually, I would love to work with the county on this project, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
Yeah, any other questions for Dr. Barrett? Good,
Thank you once again for this opportunity.
sir. Thank you, Dr. Barrett. Sorry, do it again. So any thoughts for the board on this?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
yes, I've had a lot of thoughts on it, and I did not think that I would even say this, but because I've been wanting to resolve this issue for a long time, but I think that right now, in my opinion, I feel like I want to hold off on doing anything with these 12 lots. We've heard the college, we've heard Mr. Kraus' intent for the county. And I think that we, at one of our meetings next month, should listen to the cities. I was not on the board when y'all made the decision through the interlocal agreement. Mr. Bullard, you weren't either, but I've gone back and listened to the tapes. And had I been on that board, I would have agreed likewise to give those 12 lots to the city, because they were planning to build a multi-purpose building, that being a city and a county with additional parking. But I think that we don't need to get the cart ahead of the horse. I think we should resolve the main issue, which is the hospital, because Dr. Barrett has just indicated that the college would still have the desire to look at the hospital. And if our Meridian project falls through, what better opportunity to give the college the hospital with the Randolph building? I agree. I like to call it the Randolph building. And then look at the option between the county and the city with these 12 lots. The county currently almost owns this building here, and the building behind us, the storage facility, and the lot behind us. So those 12 lots, correct me if I'm wrong, are almost contiguous. Don't ask me to spell that, to this property here, correct, Mr. Williams?
Correct, because
Yeah.
the county owns the health department property,
Yes, sir.
and part of the gifting that you've done is the half lot directly to the north
Yes, sir.
will also go to the county. The lots that you've been discussing are all contiguous to that.
Right. I think that the city, from reading this letter, which we all have, is that the city is looking at a as it states in here, a senior citizen housing complex on these 12 lots. And that's what it's stated here. Now, whether they have another plan, I don't know, but I think we would like to hear from them. And I think, Mr. Chairman, that we're only looking at October to hopefully get the project wrapped up with the hospital itself. And I like Mr. Williams' letter that he did on the incentive package because it incorporated in there the I think he used the term the synergy that is being created between the Meridian, the college, and the county. Don't know what that word means though, but I'll use it. He used it.
Kumbaya, holding hands.
Oh.
working together.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Sure.
It's the X factor. I believe it's the exact.
That's what legal, that's what legal.
But I knew what it meant. I was just giving Mr. Williams a hard time. I'm sorry. Mr. Bill.
I will somewhat piggyback off of Mr. Kennedy's comments, but I also wanted to address some of the public comments as well. In my previous comments earlier tonight and at our last meeting, I never intended for anybody to take it as the lease buyout, that money didn't belong to the taxpayers. I think I even clarified it at the last meeting as well. But it's not, that money didn't come directly from ad valorem taxes. So it did not come from, so the money came from a lease buyout. We had a 30-year lease with them. They bought it out early. So it's been spent on the building that had the lease on it. That's all I wanted to point out is that money, that yes, it does belong to the taxpayers, but came from a different funding source than the taxpayers. That's number one. Number two, it was mentioned that the city wanted the lots. Well, we gave the city the lots almost 5 years ago. And their track record of completing projects is not very good. So now they want to spend $18 million on a housing complex. Housing's needed. It's fantastic. They're also talking about spending millions of dollars on a city hall that will be located somewhere else other than the 12 lots that we originally gave it to them nearly 5 years ago. So I don't want things to, comments to be left unchecked because some people that may not have the education and the history and the background of everything that has happened here over the last 4 or 5 years, they could easily be influenced by hearing comments. So if there's anybody on Zoom or watching on YouTube in the future, I don't have anything against the city. I'm not saying that we shouldn't work with the city. I hear that now the city is interested in which I said at the last meeting, if they're still interested in paying $20,000 for that, even if they want it gifted now, but they don't have the best track record. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't entertain it by any means, but that's in my mind, they've been a bit wishy-washy and taken some time on the projects. They acknowledged in their letter, we acknowledge that the city was previously given these lots, but did not proceed with development in a timely manner. So I just wanted to respond to some of those comments and make sure that my comments weren't misconstrued as we're just throwing money around.
Yeah. Further thoughts, Ms. Jansen?
I have to agree with Mr. Kennedy.
Yes.
How about that?
That's my sentiment.
Me too.
Mr. Bullard, you too? Okay. So I believe that wraps up that item unless there's further conversation on it. Line item number 3, I believe that's no action can be taken. Dale's covered that. So we are on to board member comments. Ms. Chance, any thoughts in closing?
None whatsoever.
Mr. Kennedy?
I'd like to put Mr. Williams on the spot if I may.
All right.
What do you have lined up for our agenda for the meeting on the 8th. I know we've got budget.
Well, which is the priority. We do have our first budget hearing on the 8th. Sonia and I spoke today about items to be placed on the agenda. We're going to carry forward what was not discussed tonight in hopes that the county will provide Todd with the information where that can be discussed. My notes from tonight now have me adding Ms. Cone on the agenda. And it seems like there was one other thing.
Didn't Todd say he got something from the city about the?
Yeah, I think we should put the 11.2 acres on the.
Yes,
Hey,
okay,
so-
but there was still one other thing that Sonia and I discussed today, which escapes me, so those are the 4 or 5 items that we have currently considered for programming on the next agenda.
Of course, Mr. Kennan is going to give us, I assume, an update on where we are with the chapter 164.
We'll know by the 8th what the city did. If
Okay.
anything on the 3rd, so leave that as a placeholder to.
Yeah.
It just dawned on me, the primary care facility.
Right.
I was going to put Ms. Rembert back on the agenda, but she gave me an update and I'm just going to forward that to you by email. So basically, there's no need for her to come in September. But she has spoke with her engineer. They do now have a timetable and I'm going to forward the trustees that timetable. That was the other thing.
And inviting the city to come.
I can't, yes, sir, I will do that also.
For the 11.2 acres?
No, for their request of this
12
letter
lots.
that we received tonight on dated August the 20th, received today.
I don't, why don't we wait until? Why don't we wait until the hospital's done?
Well, and I agree with you, but I would like to go ahead and listen to what their proposal was, so we could start thinking about it. And if we have any additional thoughts after that presentation that we would like for the city to give us, the college has been very thorough. The county is, we've heard from them, and they may even have some handouts like the college gave that they plan to do. But I was just hoping that we can at least hear from them and get it all done maybe by the second meeting in September. Or the first meeting, excuse me. I'm sorry, Miss Markham. The first meeting in October, if we don't have to carry over to a second meeting in October.
I'm one individual, but I don't want to hear any, if we're gonna put it off, I think we should put it off.
Okay.
Put it off for everybody, only because on our last meeting, we said we were gonna hear from one and then, and I don't disagree. I think it's fine because if the hospital building becomes available and the college says, hey, we were in line for it back then and we want to still be in line, I think
That's fine. Okay, I will agree. And then of course, but you are
We can
gonna have
listen
on
to
the
them. I don't
agenda.
mind. I'll listen to everybody.
I got you.
But
Yeah.
I don't want to bypass somebody else and they get lost in translation just because.
But we will have discussion about the 11 acres. Will that be an action item too?
Acres.
Yeah,
Acres. Will that be an action item? Okay,
yeah, we will list it as a discussion and action item.
okay.
I do want to remind the trustees that we have already are required to advertise the 22nd as the second final budget hearing. That's a separate deal entirely from having the special meeting immediately following that.
Yes, sir.
So Sonia and I will wait until after our meeting on the 8th, but shortly thereafter, any item that needs to be advertised to be discussed as part of a special meeting on that date, it takes that long to get it advertised. So anything that may be missed or anything that needs to be added to the second meeting in September, we're gonna have to know it very soon after the 8th.
That's all I've got, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry.
On that same vein, that also means that's right, I wrote it, Miss Cohen will be in that meeting too.
I'm on, my intent right now is if nothing else, there will be Ms. Cone on the September 22nd special meeting. You'll have a budget hearing, then you will adjourn that and enter into your special meeting. That at the very least will be on the agenda unless she somehow makes it on the 8th and you've already addressed it.
Mr. Bullard, any thoughts? Good. Thoughts?
I apologize to everybody for my tardiness. I sincerely apologize about that.
Just don't let it happen.
It's
again.
everybody else's time. I do not like being tardy. I apologize. So please.
You get used to it. It's.
You were getting a haircut, right?
Steve says shit.
Yeah, I won't get used to it, Steven. I'm sorry. I feel terrible.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I think that thought.
Oh, God.
Yes, I get.